Hello there, welcome back to episode 6 of Book Club. Today my video will be different from the previous 5 videos that I have been doing. This video will cover a deeper analysis of this book called The Giver. And you guys, if you have watched my previous videos, you guys should know that my videos only include firstly the author, what this book is about and the takeaways. But this book, why am I doing more is because this book, The Giver, I'm doing it for literature in Singapore, and some schools actually do this book in Singapore, and I would like to review it and get a better understanding of the characters' emotions, personalities, why is this title being given to this book, and more about how they feel, because these will be tested in our literature syllabus, and all of these will be coming up in today's video. Let's get into it. Okay, so before we get into the book, let's get this straight. This is a literature book. So the main thing that we start off by asking is, why is this book being given this title? So as you can see, giver is bigger than the, and giver is the main focus of the book. So there is this character called the giver, and there's another boy which is also the main character called Jonas. So Jonas is actually living in a town with the same concept of sameness, which means everybody behaves the same. Technically, it's like having 200 robots doing the same thing, and how they manage their things that they do is based on age. So at 12 years old, he actually gets to choose his job, and in the end he actually gets selected to be the receiver of memories, and this job is really stressful. So his mentor is actually the giver, who actually gives him the past memories, and the receiver, Jonas, receives it and actually passes it down. So in this story, this is why the main aim is the giver, because in this society, in Jonas's society, everyone is treated the same way. No one is spontaneous, no one is different, everyone is the same, and they're being controlled by a group of people called the elders, which I'll be talking about in the book later, in the later part of the episode. And that is why the book title is called The Giver. Okay, so secondly, I'll be talking about the author, which is Lois Lowry. So now many of you may be asking, who is Lois Lowry? She's actually an American author who writes books tending to the audience, which includes children and young adults. And she also writes books which actually relate on life, mainly life, matters in life and downfalls in life as well. Like this book is about life. And this book called The Giver is actually part of a series called The Giver Quartet. And other books of her which are also in The Giver Quartet are such as The Giver, The Gathering Blue, Messenger, and Sun. I'll put all the links to the books in the description below. Be sure to check them out if you would like to see them. Now let's move on to what this book is about. Okay, so now I'll be telling you what The Giver is about. So what The Giver is about is that there's this boy called Jonas. He's in this society where everything is actually characterized by age. So you gotta do every single thing and live the life every single one has in the community. So that is dependent on the age, what age you're on. So Jonas has actually a mother, a dad, and a sister. So her mother works as the judge in some way in that society, and the father is actually a nurturer, which is actually a caretaker of babies who are born in the hospitals. And the sister, Lily, is a really enthusiastic person who asks a lot of questions. And now I'll be telling you what the story is about. So in this book, Jonas is actually 12 years old, and he gets to go do jobs. He gets selected to do a job by the elders, who are the people who take care and make the rules for the society. So in this story, Jonas actually doesn't like the way he's being treated, in like how everything is done the same way, and how anyone is not living a spontaneous life. Everyone is the same, they're not different. And in the end, Gabriel, a baby who is born, needs to be taken special care of. So the dad actually brings Gabriel home to take care of. And Jonas actually takes Gabriel along and goes to the real outside world and experiences for himself during Christmas how it is like to live life differently without any, rules, so much regulations based on how you should live life. And then he brings back all the memories and tells it along. That is what the story is about. And on the way, he meets the giver, who actually inspires him. He was actually discouraged at first, but this guy called the giver is very wise, and he actually inspired the character, which is actually Jonas, to go on this trip to actually experience the world and bring back all the memories, so that people will now be starting to live life differently. And that is what the giver is about in a minute. Okay, so now I'll be going through, fourthly, some main messages this book is trying to point out to you. The first one I could think of, in my viewpoint, is actually choice is not destructive. So in The Giver, the people or the residents living in that society could not choose what they wanted to do. They were always being they only had one choice, which is to follow the elders who made all the decisions based on, they planted all the rules, and the residents just had to follow. But somehow having a choice is not really destructive. But not having a choice, from this book, you can find out that not having a choice is really destructive. And now I'll be moving on to some evidence from the book that shows that choice is not destructive. Some evidences from the book, and I will also be telling you what chapters and what pages they are, so you can check it out if you're studying this book. Let's get into it. Okay, so now I'll be showing you two evidences on how this message that I told you earlier is being shown in the book. So if you have the newer version like mine, The Giver, you should turn to chapter 20, page 194, and you could see that there's a sentence saying, I will do whatever you like, sir. I will kill people, sir. Old people, small newborn people, I'll be happy to kill them, sir. Thank you for your instructions, sir. So this actually tells us that people are very obedient and always follow what they're being told. So they only have one mindset, which is to follow whatever the elders or anyone says, because no one is spontaneous and no one has the right to actually state out their opinions. They just have to follow. And if you're using the older version, you can check out chapter 20, page 152 to 153 if you want to find the same sentence, and it will be there. So this is one evidence of how the message is being shown. I will be telling you another evidence shortly. Okay, so now I'll be talking about the second evidence from the book that relates to choice is not destructive. So you can find this sentence in page 196, chapter 20 of the new book. And if you're using the previous one, you can find it in chapter 20, page 154. So let's get into it. And now the sentence is, there's nothing we can do. It's always been this way. Before me, before you, before the ones who came before you. Back and back and back. His voice trailed the familiar phrase. So what this sentence actually means is that Jonas is expressing his thoughts on why people are actually always they only have one way of life. No other options, nothing else. They can't have a say or any other opinions on what they should actually be doing. So Jonas is very discouraged, but actually the giver in this story encourages him to go out to the real world, leave his society, go out to the real world, get back memories and spread it to all the neighbors and residents so that their hometown or society can actually change. And not only they could change, the choice is not destructive, they could overthrow the elders and they could have their own choice and own rights. That is the second, these are the two most important quotes and phrases from this story called The Giver, which are important to talking about the main message, which is choice is not destructive. Now, I'll be talking about who this book is good for. Okay, so lastly, I'll be talking about the personality of the giver, which is one person I'll be talking about. So, I'll be talking about two things that he can have, that he might like portray in this book, and where you can find evidence. So, in this book, called the giver actually is a wise person, and he shows his wisdom in pages 196 to 198 of this book. And he also shows a lot of depression in pages I would say 137 and 152 to 154. These are the pages you can actually see that the giver is portraying himself as a depressed person, and you can relate to them because it gives a very vivid expression. And the four key things that you can actually get from this book are the main key points that are some takeaways, which are intelligence, integrity, courage, and wisdom. These four out of two, which are from Jonas, and the other two, such as courage and wisdom, is actually from the giver. So I really recommend this book to you to read if you really want a lot of books about how to give your own right. And all the links, all the stuff about the giver, all the characters, description, evidence in which you can find what pages, all of that will be in the description below. On the characteristics, personalities, all of them will be in the description below. Please check it out. And you can find all of the websites by just clicking just one click of the websites that I post in my description. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you smash that like button and subscribe here. Or you can also do it here. And I'll be putting a Google Docs in the link in the description with all the characters, personalities, and all the links in the description for all the sites that you can check out if you're studying the book in detail. See you in the next episode. Bye.